All right, ladies, continuing on in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, we are on the bottom of page 85, Into Action. Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. It works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. It would be easy to be vague about this matter, yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving toward all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. I'm going to stop there because I want to break that down a bit. So first and foremost, step 11 is, let's read it right from our little bookmark, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. So conscious contact with God is this connection with God 24 hours a day, walking with Him 24 hours a day. Conscious contact with God is not first thing in the morning and before you go to bed. Really great beginning, but that's not a conscious contact with God. I've got Him hardwired right in my back. I am always trying to stay connected. I've got that, like when you, I don't know if you guys have this where you live, but we have something here called Shaw Open. So it's Wi-Fi wherever I go. So lots of businesses have Shaw Wi-Fi boxes in them. So what I do is I get a password from my Shaw account and I enter that password and I turn on the app. And it constantly is connecting me to Shaw Open everywhere I go. So if I'm at the mall, boom, I'm on the Wi-Fi. If I'm walking on Robson Street, there's Shaw Open. Boom, I'm on Wi-Fi. So that's a constant connection. So what step 11 is we're putting in that password and we're going to have constant contact wherever we go. That Wi-Fi signal's going to be there, as opposed to dial-up. If you're praying in the morning and you're praying at night, you're using dial-up internet still. Let's get with the times and get a constant contact. All right, let's do that. That works better. So here it says it works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. This book, if there's something saying if, it means it's probably something you should do. We need an action. So we want to have a good attitude about it. We want to constantly practice connecting to God. Like I said, I'm driving in my car. Same thing. I need to plug in my phone to have this power. I have a portable charger in my purse because I need to have this power, this constant connection. And so I need to do some work for that. I got to remember to do this. So if I'm getting angry, I got to go, oh, God, help me from being angry. Oh, this is the sick man. God, save me from reacting, right? We have to work at it. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. So it says right before that, these are valuable suggestions. Now, I said last time we were going to cross-reference because a lot of people say there's no work in step 10. We only do 11. Well, here we go. We're going to cross-reference. So it says, we constructively review our day. Okay? Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? I heard that before. Let's look back to step 10. Oh, page 84. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Ooh, wait a minute. That's a 10. All right. And then it says, do I owe an apology? Go back to page 84. It says, make amends quickly if we've harmed anybody. Step 10. Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Let's go back to 84. Discuss with someone immediately. Yep, that's 10. Okie dokie. Were we kind and loving toward all? All right, let's go back. Oh, love and tolerance of others is our code. Step 10. What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves? Were we thinking of what we could do? Practice dream in life. Ask for God's forgiveness. Correct matters. Oh, it says, when these cropped up, we ask God at once to remove them. We resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. So that paragraph is describing step 10. Just saying. I can cross-reference it pretty much verbatim. It's a valuable suggestion on meditation and prayer. But we want to be able to learn how to do this all day, because step 10 tells us we do this and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. So this is where we have to work at it. This is a great beginning. If you are beginning and you want a starting point, doing this on awakening and when we retire at night is a great beginning, but it is not a conscious contact with God. It is dial-up internet to God. So we want to get the practice of doing step 10, which is as we go along throughout the day as it crops up. Every hour on the hour if you want to try it. However you need to practice it to make it ingrained in you. If morning and night works at first, that's a great beginning. But this is a suggestion on how to get a conscious contact with God. We need to be praying and meditating throughout the day, not just morning and night. Let's talk about this, Catherine, New Hampshire. North Carolina. I was looking at Joanne and thinking of you. You're not unmuted. There we go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Catherine. I'm an alcoholic. Question for clarification, because the way you described 10 on Monday was awesome, and I got it. So you're saying 10 we're doing all day long. 11 is kind of a review of that 10?
That paragraph there is step 10 at night.
So we're doing 10 all day. So
this is a suggestion for prayer and meditation. Okay. This is not step 11. Step 11 is prayer and meditation. This, when we retire at night, is like Cole notes on how to meditate. So if you don't know how to pray and you don't know how to meditate, here is a valuable suggestion on what you should do. It's great to review your day at night, but I like to review my day as I go along and do my step 10 separate. Prayer and meditation for me looks a lot different, but this is a great beginning.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anybody else? Check the chat. Someone's looking for a sponsor, ladies. We're going to keep reading if no one else wants to talk about this first little bit. All right. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours a day. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. I'm going to stop right there before we move on to thinking about our day. So here, upon awakening, again, this is a valuable suggestion on how to start your day with meditation. It's not a definite instruction. It's a suggestion. So for myself, I wake up. I wake up and I wake up in gratitude. I listen to the birds chirping outside, and that immediately is my trigger to look at my window where I have my Bill W. plant. And then I'm just like so grateful for my day. And I do. I talk to God in my morning meditation and we have a private conversation. I don't have a set prayer. Then I think about my day and what I have to do in my day. And I usually meditate on it because sometimes it's involving talking to other women. I might have another girl that I'm working with that day, or if I'm speaking that day, I look for a thought. And that's going to be my theme of the day. So if I'm talking to sponsees throughout the day, whatever came in my morning meditation, it's usually something, a reading from the book, and then I'll read that reading from the book. And that'll kind of be like the little talking point where I'll have little reminders. And if I'm speaking that day, I'll plan my talk around whatever came up in my morning meditation, because that will be what is relevant to me at the time, and it maybe is something that God is trying to get me to say to my fellows. So it's very important to reflect on your day. Just what do I have to do today? How can I be of service to other people as I go throughout my day? And thanking God for the beautiful day, regardless of it is. Those birds chirping in that plant are the start of my day every day, and it grounds me in this fellowship and in this conscious contact with God. And then of course we want to make sure we're not selfish, but usually if you're at this point, you're trying not to think of selfish things anyways. Questions, comments, concerns on this page? Okay. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. What used to be the hunch or occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pray for this presumption in all sorts. We might pay. I got prayer on the mind. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. So when we rely upon it, that's when we've got this downloaded hard drive. God is hardwired to us. My favorite prayer when facing indecision. It's found 4 times so far that I can think of in this book. 1387. Oh, I wrote it down. Dang, see, I can't remember. 1387, 79, and one other spot. And it says, when in doubt, sit quietly and ask for strength and direction. 4 times I found that in this book. Here it says, when facing indecision, we ask God for inspiration. Relax and take it easy. It doesn't say call your sponsor, call 3 friends, call 10 friends, post on Facebook. It says sit quietly. Don't ask anybody. Ask God. Well, I don't know. I can't hear answers. I can't hear that little thought in the back of your head. That's your answer. Right? And we practice this and practice it and practice it. The more you're calling other people, the less you're listening to God. The more this is moving, the less you're sitting quietly asking God. You will never get an intuitive thought. You will never intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle you if you're using your mouth and not your Wi-Fi to God. So sit quietly and ask for strength and direction. Use my stupid prayer. God, I am so stupid. Please make this simple for me. God, I don't get this. Could you please send me a clear and concise sign? Ask and you will receive. And it'll be a big freaking thing. Did I tell you my bong story? The first time I believed in prayer. So my first 2 years, people are like, pray. Did you talk to God? Did you talk to God? Did you pray? I'm like, ugh. Like how many times they said that to me, right? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Like I had no clue how to pray or to meditate. So this girl, and she was that girl that you really didn't like very much, that always talked about God, and she knew every page in this book like the back of her hand. She goes, well, just pray. And I'm like, it doesn't work for me. Like, I don't get it. I need black and white. I'm a mathematician. Like, I don't get gray. She goes, Dev, you asked for a clear and concise sign? Yeah, that's going to work. She goes, try it. That was on a Tuesday. I prayed for 2 days for a clear, concise sign. So what the situation was, I was dating a guy. I was 18 months sober and he was 18 years sober. And there was all these things that weren't adding up, but he had 18 years. So I believed what he said. He was smoking medicinal marijuana because he was a former opioid user and he had kidney stones. So he couldn't take regular medicine because he was a former opioid user. So he smoked medical marijuana. But it looked really social. And I was like, there was other red flags, right? And so they said, pray for a clear, concise sign. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to try it. Fuck it. It's not going to work, but I'm going to try. So I was like, I'm so stupid. Please make it simple for me. Please send me a clear and concise sign. So don't you know, Thursday morning, I'm sitting at his house, working on the laptop at the kitchen table, back deck's open because it's a beautiful sunny day, and I hear this. What's that? Lean back in my chair, look out the door. He's sitting there with the hussy from downstairs with the tattoos everywhere. You know the girl. And they're smoking the weed from a 2-foot bong, lighting it with a blowtorch. You can't get more clear and concise than that. That's pretty clear. And I went, holy shit, it works. This prayer thing works. You need to be specific. Oh, send me a sign. No. God, I'm so fucking stupid. Please send me a clear, concise sign and he will smack you upside the face. Because my God's a trucker and he's like, oh yeah, you want that? Hold my beer, watch this. That's my God. He's a riot. Because he knows I need big, bold things because I don't get it. And now we've got this thing where I get it and things are so much simpler, right? So it's like we've got to practice prayer and meditation. We've got to work at it. This is communication with God. It's a two-way street. I had another situation. I'm going to tell you this other story because now God yells at me. I'm driving Summer to school. We stop to get gas. At the gas station, I start yakking to the girl at the till, right? And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm running late. I don't have time. I talked to this girl at the gas station too long. No, God did that on purpose. Because I dropped Summer at the front door, not the side door, because I was late. A lady came out of the school and she was crying. I'm getting chills telling this story. She was crying. And in the back of my head, it says, you should see if she's okay. I don't know this lady. I'm not going to ask this lady if she's okay. I don't got time for this. So I start to drive. The noise in the back of my head said it again. You should see if she's okay. And I'm like, oh no, God, I don't have time for this. I am late. I gotta go. I don't know that lady and she's gonna think I'm a crazy person. I turned right to drive away. I could still see she was crying. It was like, here, God's like, she's right here. She's right here. See if she's okay. And I was like, no, I don't have time for this. So I'm driving and now I'm getting that fight inside of me where I could feel it. Oh, no, I don't have time, but why is it bugging me, right? So I get to the end of the street. I turn left to go up the street to go where I needed to go to my appointment. And I looked down the sidewalk. She was gone. And I was like, yes, I'm off the hook. Sure enough, God's like, she's right there sitting in her truck. And I could see her crying sitting in her truck. He's like, go see if she's okay. So here I pull my car over and I'm like, fine, I will. Right? I get out of my car and it's raining and I walk up and I'm like mad at God. But I'm like, something's telling me that I have to ask this lady if she's okay. And I knock on the car window and I'm like, hey, I saw you crying. I'm Summer's mom. Is everything okay? And she started bawling. She told me some stuff. I don't know what that did to her that day. I don't know if that was God stopping me from driving my car and getting hit by a drunk driver. I don't know what happened that morning, but I can tell you with everything in my body, God wanted me to stop what I was doing that day. Normally, Kim would be like, ignore that voice in the back of your head. But I am so consciously connected to God right now that I can't ignore that. He yells at me. Like he yelled at me, stop your car, go see if she's okay. And I listen now. What would have happened had I not listened? I don't know. But I know something changed because I listened. So start to listen to those voices in the back of your head. When you think of someone, there is a reason. Call them. Do those things that you hear in the back of your head. That is God. That is intuition. That is being connected to a power greater than yourself. That is what this is all about. I'm going to open it up. Sorry, I took over a little bit on that one, but prayer and meditation, it's a throughout the day to build this connection so that we hear these things and we receive these messages. Anybody? Nobody's got any stories about this? Those are just my two good ones. Suzanne?
My name's Kelowna.
Oh, Kelowna, go ahead.
I got a story. It's not, I understand what you're talking about, and you gave a real clear, explanation on this, because I know for myself that when I was using and out there drinking, that voice or that feeling is gone. It's hard to hear with all the stuff going on and all the so-called problems and drama. And however, I knew that I had that, and once I stopped drinking and really started the program, I could hear that voice, and it happens to me all the time. And I might be just doing recently, doing my work around the house, and then I'm thinking, I gotta call that person, or I know I gotta start, or I start thinking about a client that I hadn't heard from, and sure enough, as soon as I email them, they go, oh, I was just getting ready to, that's one little thing, but when it comes to like working with others in the program, and when I think about somebody, I call them. And recently I just met a woman from India on the Women's International who was reaching out for help, and I happened to be the host that day. I knew in my heart of hearts that I had to say something. I know if somebody else may have done it, but I wanted to do it because I was there. I was like the voice of the meeting. So she emailed me, and then another woman emailed, and I just recently texted her back and tried to email her again, but she's in India, and I know it's hard, but I'm going to keep reaching out to this young lady because for some reason we all got connected. So, I mean, there's been a lot of other little instances in my life, but I really try to stop. I even stop my car and look in the back to make sure I have something that I really need for that job. And 9 times out of 10, I got to go back to get it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like the stories, like if you knew me before, you would like, people are like, oh, well, you're so kind. I was the biggest, most selfish biatch ever. Suzanne?
Oh, I just wanted to share how I went to AA, and I guess I thought I could do it on my own, and people were talking about God, and I was like, ugh, this isn't going to work for me, but God decided to put me on my knees. My disease progressed at a rapid rate, and so I came in around Easter for the second time ever. And before, people told me, pray, pray, pray. And I didn't know how to pray, and I wasn't precise. I said, God, I want to drink like a normal person. Well, that wasn't the prayer I needed. I needed a prayer that says, God, take away the craving. Because I would look forward to the flu so that I didn't crave. The craving was making me insane. So I got on my knees, just like my sponsor said. The sponsor who went to Avalon the only time because God told her to go from her couch where she was feeling sorry for herself, and she found me. And she said, get on your knees and pray. And I woke up and I went, oh my God, there's no craving. It's gone. It's day 9. This is physically impossible. I've never been able to put 4 days together in my life. So when my daughter, she was saying, I don't know, Mom. Like, she's got a Bible, and it's full of things. And she says, I don't know if I have faith, Mom. And I said, well, you can borrow my faith, because God took away my desire to drink, And that's all I need to convince me that there's a higher power. So with that, I'll pass. Thank you. Are you hunting for flies?
No, my son is going to the park with his friends. I was giving him money. Oh, sorry. It's a different name, but a different face. It must be your friend's iPad. Ghislaine? Okay. I'm like, that's not your name. You gotta hit. There you go.
Yeah, hi, I'm Christina, and I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, that's Glenn right here, my friend. Actually, I didn't hear a voice. It happened as it needed. I was 40 years old, and I was going back to college where I was living in that town, and and I had applied and didn't get the answer yet. And then someone from Sherbrooke, which was 5 hours away drive, I met someone there, and we fell kind of in love. And so I applied to that college in Sherbrooke. And then I said to God, I said, you know the crazy lady that lives in my head, and there's no way I want to do this mistake again to change my whole life for a lady, right? For love. It's like I want to go where my life is supposed to go. So make it clear, you know, because I was thinking, what happens if I am both places? They say I can go to the colleges. I'm going to be screwed. What's best for me? Please be clear. So I was not accepted where I was living, and I was accepted at the college where she was. So I got my answer. It was really clear. Just pray for it. Be clear, and the answer will be clear.
Thank you. And you can also think of it the opposite way. How many times were you in the darkness and the despair and your phone rang? That's God using someone else. Like, I was in my car on the way to drink at 14 months sober, and someone called me and it stopped me. That's God. There's a lady at my church who her kids played baseball with my kids, and she actually said to me the day I got baptized, I've been praying for you for 7 years. Because she knew I was suffering, right? Like, the stories I could tell you are nuts. Joanne?
Oh, hi, everyone. I'm Joanna. I'm an alcoholic addict. And so step 11, I had a woman a long time ago have this saying that I really like. She goes, from God's mouth to my ears. And when I was drinking, I had a voice that said, stop swallowing, you're killing yourself, you know, and I'd go, nah, shh, and I'd keep going, and I wouldn't listen. But that was also my own humanity, you know, my own survival of trying to say to yourself, you know, stop trying to kill yourself. But I just denied anything that I felt, because I was addicted. I just wanted the next drink or drug so that I could be out of myself. But step 11 helped me cross over the feeling that I had when I came into AA. My biggest fear of getting sober in AA was, what if it works? What if it works? Because then I wouldn't drink and I have no other tools. And how am I going to live my life? And what step 10 and 11 was, everything else helped me to, plus the program, Don't Drink, Go to Meetings, Ask for Help, it helped me get away from the physical addiction. But then suddenly I'm stark raving sober and I don't know how to live my life. And little by little, I started to trust that gut feeling. I didn't trust it before, because most of the time the gut feeling is, fuck this and run. That was my gut feeling in most situations. So to be able to use this book and start knowing that I had to kind of change that connection and start to trust a little bit. And so in the beginning, when I had a gut feeling, I did call my sponsor. I did call other people and saying if I had the time. I found that I also made some major changes in early sobriety where my work, I didn't have a whole lot of time to like, though I did every now and then, excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom, get down on my knees, ask for help, and ask what was kind of going on. But a lot of times it did have to wait until the end of the day, until I could keep practicing. And the more I practice, I can pretty much kind of do a quick check during the day. But the 11th step, I love analogies. And here's my analogy, is that I'm in the game, I'm in the program to build a defense against the first drink. I'm not completely sure I know how, but I've got this whole team of people, and there's a coach, and the coach is the higher power. And he tells me the game plan. And I wake up in the morning, and the first thing, usually one of the first things I think of is what meeting am I going to go to? Because even if I don't make that meeting, I put the mindset of recovery in the top priority. And so I get the game plan, I get the equipment, I go on the football, field to play the game, and everyone knows the plan. We don't drink, we go to meetings, we ask for help. But every now and then, things change, and I'm not sure what to do. So I go and I ask my coach, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? And over time, I hear some of the same things, and then it becomes part of my gut, I think that for me, the hardest thing was to change the words that I hear from my gut and to allow my higher power to talk through. I do have a really quick story. I was sober for a while. I worked in a school. There was kind of an international school. And this woman pulled up in the driveway in the morning, and she opened her van, and her son was holding the baby in his arms while they were driving. And so I said to her, in the United States, and I know in New Hampshire, babies have to be in car seats. And she's like, oh, you do not understand. The baby cries all the time, hates the car seat. I said, if you get into an accident, your son, who loves that baby so much, will not be able to hold the baby. You've got to put the baby in the car seat. And she goes, okay, I will do this. 2 weeks later, she comes in, she runs into me, and she hugs me so hard, and she's crying. I'm like, what's the matter? And she goes, Joanne, I was in a car accident 2 days ago, and the baby was in the car seat, and all was good. But I'm not sure if the baby would have been okay if I had not put the baby in the car seat. And I walked away, and the first thing I said was, thank you, God, because from God's ear to my mouth, something came out of my mouth. And for that, pay attention, everyone. Pay attention, because sometimes what is told to you, you don't know why. You just need to do it. So don't drink, go to meetings, ask for help, and your life will get better. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't know, it's not instant gratification around here. We are instant gratification kind of people. And sometimes we don't know what we did and how it affects. I don't know. I just know that I have to do these things, because when I don't, it doesn't make sense. I know I shared on the morning meeting, because we're talking about building this conscious contact with God. So step 11 is this process where we practice and practice to build this conscious contact with God, which is having him connected to us 24 hours a day. So these descriptions in the book are like the beginners, right? It says in this book all the time, this is a beginning, this is a beginning, this is a beginning, because we have to grow in understanding. So when people are new, a lot of them say, just say good morning in the morning and say thank you at night. And that's great, but we want to build on that a little bit too, because we're building a relationship. So when you go to the grocery store, you say good morning to the guy in produce, and then you say thanks when you leave. Then next time you maybe say a little bit more. Oh, good morning, Steve. Your name's Steve. It's on your name tag. Oh, my name's Kim. How's it going? So same with God, right? We're getting to know him. He knows everything about us, but we have to build this relationship. And I've shared my God questions before, and this is my morning meditation daily reprieve. And it goes, Kim, are you going to pray and meditate today? Yes, God, I am. Kim, are you willing to make any and all amends today? Yes, God, I am. Kim, are you going to be willing to help others today? Yes, God, I am. Thanks, my child. You have your daily reprieve. And that was how I started my day, like probably the past 6 months that I learned that little morning, because it grows. And now I've just got this, we do it automatically. It's just a natural conversation. Lois. In the Poconos.
Yes, we have sun in the Poconos. And I've got a story, and mine was also when I was in a very deep, dark place. My husband had passed away, and there was a little voice that told me I was going through the closet and looking at his clothes and stuff. And my husband never threw anything out, so he had some leisure suits. Now, he died in 2001. So leisure suits were not around since the 70s. But they were there, and some little voice, and I would have never done this, told me to look in the pockets of those leisure suits. Well, my husband went out and played cards on Friday night with, some friends of ours that he worked with. And when he passed away, I didn't know how I was going to pay for the funeral. Well, in the pocket was exactly, to the dollar, the money that I needed to bury this man. I didn't do that. There was a little voice. Something told me to do it, and I wasn't even in the program yet. But looking back afterwards, I can look at it and say that was the God moment for me, because, even though I wasn't doing the things that I needed to be doing, God was already looking out for me. So it reinforced this, and I think if we give ourselves that time, that little silence, that we get much more accustomed to hearing that little voice. A lot of the clamor, somebody else said that, I said the lady from Hawaii, that clamor of the whole world going on, it sort of takes away that voice. But if you can there's a lot of times in the Bible it says, be still and know that I am God. There's a reason for that, because God wants you to be still and meditate and ask for the things that you need. Not for yourself, but the things that you need to do to help other people.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You just reminded me of a story. So one of my neighbors here in my building was in the fellowship. And I didn't know this. I would see him walking his dogs all the time, and then I started going to a nooner, and he was at the nooner. And so when we would see ourselves walking the dog, I would do the nod, because we had this we knew we were neighbors and we knew we were in the fellowship, but we never really spoke. It was just this thing. And another member of the fellowship posted that he had passed away of a heart attack right at the beginning of COVID. And I knew who his wife was. So I saw her walking the dogs, and Joe was just dropping me off from getting ice cream. And I'm like, I should go talk to her. And I just went up and I introduced myself, and she started telling me a story. And she was going through his belongings, and he used to collect watches. And she said she decided that she wanted to pass some of his things along to his sponsees. And one thing she thought she would give the sponsees each a watch. There was the exact number of watches for sponsees. Exact number. Bang on. Just so funny how those they're like these weird idiosyncrasies, but they're not. Helen, I changed your name too, by the way. Can you unmute?
Oh, you're making me laugh this morning. Anyway, thank you very much. I couldn't change my name. Helen Alcoholic, and I do have a cool story like you, Kim. I was leaving a meeting, and for me, after a meeting is when that's another time where I'm really quiet. And so I'm leaving with my doggie, and I'm driving along Lakeshore here, and I'm saying, okay, God, how can I be of use to you today? Because the meeting put me in the right state of mind.
on top of what I do in my morning meditation. But so I heard turn right here. I'm like, why would I turn right here? I never go here. This is like a park I never go to. Anyways, I turn right. I'm like, okay. And I turn right. I pull into the parking spot. I look to my right into the next car, and there's a woman bending over crying on her steering wheel. And I think to myself, I know her. I know her because she's in our fellowship. And I knock on her window just like you, and I say, are you okay? And we have a chat. We go for a walk with my dog, and she tells me what it is exactly what I do, which is beating on self. And shortly after that, we become sponsee. But I just think, oh my goodness, if only I could do that every day. Because I'll tell you, that makes my day. Totally makes my day. Puts me where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing, and I forget about myself and my troubles and how I'm going to solve them, which is crazy to begin with. And it was just a beautiful moment. I wish I could remember to do that every day, because that was beautiful. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm being of use. So thanks very much, women.
Thanks so much, Helen. Yeah, it's just, when you get starting to pick up on them and you see them, it's just like, wow, this is so cool. Like, when you tap into it and you just want more. Like, I can't even tell you about how amazing, like, besides the fellowship and being sober, helping other people is like the highlight of my life. Like, it's just like the best. Leslie.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Perfect time to share this with my group. I have signed up to host my first meeting. It is a women's meeting on the Women's International 24 Hours 7 website. And only because this program works. And Kimberly, your enthusiasm and courage, in my opinion, help from another friend who's smiling right now, going to be my co-host. She's giving me private lessons. Help from another friend who's coming. I want to see a smile there, Janice. Yes, I have a participant I can call on. And the whole process, I couldn't even tell you and remember all the details where I have used this program. And we're going to get to the bottom of this page, 86. And be relaxed and take it easy and trust and feel my way through. And I'll just share the last detail because it just came to me this morning and I just used it in chat. I'm not quite ready to put my phone number in my name, but I realized, and it came to me gently, and I've been thinking about this for days, put my email, and that I feel comfortable with. So I'm good to go there. I also, literally, you guys, I prayed that I would have, I had forgotten about this visor, and I thought, I don't want to put Coors Field up there when I'm hosting. Too radical. And I forgot I had this, and I was reminded by my higher power this morning that I have this. And can you see my AA earrings? Do I have to get it really close? Okay. I wanted to make a check.
That's awesome.
Thank you. My cup runneth over with gratitude. And I just have to say, and I've been restored to sanity. I pick up a drink, all this removed from my diseased brain, back in the misery, and I'll want to die.
Yeah.
And I just have to share that as well. I love you all so much.
Love you.
That's all I have.
Yes, and put the information up for the meeting you're hosting. The girls are asking in the chat. And yeah, hosting a meeting is easy. Just remember, everybody's alcoholic. They're just thinking about how they look on camera, so they really don't care what you do. It's all good. That's the trick. All right, we're going to keep reading. We're going to finish this off. We usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be, that we be given whatever we need to take care of such problems. We ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no requests for ourselves only. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that, and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. If circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in morning meditation. If we belong to a religious denomination which requires a definite morning devotion, we attend to that also. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles we have been discussing. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister, or rabbi. Be quick to see where religious people are right. Make use of what they offer. As we go throughout the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, "Thy will be done." We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works. It really does. We alcoholics are undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in the simple way we have just outlined. But this is not all. There is action and more action. Faith without works is dead. The next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12. All right, so we go to that thing. It says we conclude our period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown throughout the day. With our next step is to be asked especially for the freedom of self-will and are careful to make no requests for ourselves, only no selfish prayers. He doesn't answer them. Don't waste your breath. They're not going to get you anything. It's just going to be like empty calories. Those are useless prayers. They don't get answered. They are definitely empty calories. However, I have heard some very creative prayers. I have a girlfriend who prayed for a car. She prayed for a car not for herself. She prayed for a humble car so that she could save an hour and a half in the morning to get to work and an hour and a half in the evening to get home, so she would have more time to help others. She also wanted to be able to drive other women to meetings like she had been driven to meetings. And she got a car, a humble car. It wasn't a Mercedes or a Range Rover, but that is what she wanted. And it was like kind of miraculous how she got it. When we're praying our selfish prayers, we need to remember that, little Betty Boo down the street, who's been faithfully going to church for the past 55 years, is praying for her sick husband. Those prayers are going to get answered before ours. I have prayed for parking spots to save me time for work with others. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And when my kids laugh at me that I didn't get a parking spot, I say, well, someone else had a more important prayer at that moment, and that's okay. But we don't make selfish prayers at all. And we don't ask for material things in our prayers. We're looking for peace, serenity, wisdom, strength. Those are the type of things we're looking for. Fear of worry, removing fears. That also falls in the category of strength. If circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in our morning meditation. The gentleman who smoked the bong with the 2-foot bong and the blowtorch actually used to request I get on my knees and pray beside him at the end of the bed. I like to pray in private. It's a personal conversation between myself and God, but to each their own. I like to be with God by myself. I'm also a fire sign, so I like to be by water when I meditate. It calms me down. Fire signs are quite selfish, and so find what works and work it. It says there's all sorts of different ways to pray in here. So remembering, this is 2 pages of suggestion on how to pray and meditate. suggestion on how to pray and meditate. This isn't word of the law on how to pray and meditate. It's an individual experience. There is apps to help you meditate if you don't know how to do it. There are books that you can learn how to connect to God. Some religious denominations have, memorized kind of chanty prayers that you can do. To each their own. The point is you're trying to connect consciously with your higher power and to get them hardwired in there so that you have this ride or die person connected to you at all times. And again, at the bottom of the page, when in doubt, sit quietly and ask for strength and direction. Everybody asks me why I have so much energy and asks me if I ever sleep. Well, the answer is found on page 88. I am not tired because I am not in excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. You want to know why I have energy? Because I pray and meditate. And I don't live in excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. That's it. I get 6 hours of sleep a night. That's all I need. The rest I spend working with others and living my life. And I'm full of energy. Got a little bit to spare. We are undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in the most simple way we've outlined. Keep him close and serve him well, and a life beyond your wildest dreams is available to you. It works. It really does. Anybody want to comment? Questions? Concerns? Ideas? I want to show you a really great book after, too, that I got given to me about someone. So, iPhone. This must be Trish. Trish?
Nope, this is Jeanette.
Jeanette!
For some reason, I lost the button on my iPhone. Sometimes I'm a little bit of a techie tart when it comes to these things. But
a techie tart.
You know what? It is what it is. I have to tell you, I struggled so much with the relationship of God in the beginning. And sometimes I would just say, just show me the way. And I was in church at a wedding. It was one of my very dear friends was getting married for the first time in 40 years. And there was a little girl that was sitting in front of me. I knew her aunt. And this little girl was pointing up at the altar. And she said to her mother, I know who he is. And this little girl was now 8 years old. She had been 40 years old. She had been involved in a horrific accident. Her mother had accidentally ran her over with her car. This little girl was on life support. And now we're fast forward 4 years. And she said to her mother, that's God. And her mother said, how do you know that, Melissa? And she said, because he stayed with me when I was in that accident. I couldn't wake up. He stayed with me and he told me not to be afraid. And he would stay with me till I was strong enough to wake up. And she said, and then I woke up and there you were. And for me, the word that came to mind deep down inside in a place I didn't even know existed was trust. Trust in a higher power. Trust in the program. And this was the first wedding I was going to in sobriety. And to say that I was a little nervous, I was a little nervous. But I had gone to a meeting in the morning. I had talked about it. I had a meeting set for the next day. And I had a list of women I could call. And I also had that Just for Today card. So I knew that if things got a little too crazy or I got uncomfortable, I could just excuse myself. And I have used that card throughout my sobriety. In situations where I just needed to remove myself. I learned early on to start my morning with the daily reflection for the day. And I like to read St. Francis' prayer before I actually leave for the day. And in between that time, when my sponsor and I walk, we always name 3 things that we're grateful for. And it's such a wonderful way to start the day. And throughout the day, I think once we become aware that there is a power greater than us, I think it's like an open channel to us. And sometimes he puts people in our lives that need us. And sometimes, like in that little girl, I needed to hear that day. So that's all I have to share. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And it grows. Like as you grow with your conscious contact with God, what you do each day changes and develops. And I'm not going to say anything, but from my experience, if it didn't change and develop, it didn't grow. So, you know, I went from doing some set prayers every day and every night to doing some during the day to doing this. And now it's just like this free flow where it just happens. Like it's different every day and it's just free flowing and it's there. But the step 3 prayer and the step 7 prayer, after I did this set of steps this way, I said them every day, like morning and night, taped them to my window because you have to practice to get this to go. Marla. Marla? Where'd she go? Marla, did you want to share? There you go.
Yes. Am I there?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, the thing about prayer came up this morning. It's so funny. It's one of the things you're talking about. So this woman was sharing, and she said, well, of course I didn't pray about that because you're not supposed to pray for yourself. And I just responded back, well, like especially, I like the reading, and I can't think of the page number where it says, you know, we stop for a minute and pray to God and ask where will be needed today or whatever. So I think sometimes that's confused. So I just wanted to be able to respond to her. We can pray for ourselves. No, not like you were saying, the Maserati and all that stuff, but we can certainly ask for direction or if we need certain things or help. I think that's okay. Am I correct or am I off track?
Oh, yeah. I prayed for a healthy relationship with an amazing person so that I could show other people that you could come from a bad divorce and be able to grow and have a healthy relationship.
Cool.
And
right.
I prayed and meditated on my ideals, right? Like that, someone could say that's a little selfish. But I want to be able to show other people that you can have a healthy relationship after 2 failed domestic violence disasters.
And I remember you sharing a little of that, and I thought that and the healthy ideas. Okay, that's great, thanks. Yeah. I just think it was kind of confusing, and I wanted to thank the previous share, the story about the little girl.
Oops, whoops, ah! I hit the button. I'm sorry, Marla. Can you hit it? There you go.
No, that's okay. I just want to thank the previous sharing about the little girl. Give me goosebumps.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Yes. Thank you, Joanne.
So I'm going to shake things up a little bit because this is my story. You know, when I think of prayer and meditation, I think a lot of reverence and quiet and all this. There came a time in my recovery, I had to walk through this where I was so angry at my higher power. I was so angry. And I also felt like based on the, misunderstanding of my parents' teaching of what God was, my fear is that if I got angry at God, I'd be struck by lightning. If I got angry at anyone, that something awful would happen. So I kept all my anger, and women don't get angry. That was the message I grew up with. And finally, someone came into my life and said, get angry with God, because if the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And if you're still talking to your higher power, then you're still in a relationship with it. But I still needed to keep working on this. And finally, it became really apparent one day. I was in a really healthy relationship, marriage with my husband, and we had a fight. And I was always nervous around fights, and he was really mad, and he's like, I need a break. I'm leaving. And I'm like, are you going to leave me? And he looked at me and said, why would I leave you? I love you. I just need some time to cool down. And it didn't dawn on me that if people love me, they can get angry at me. Doesn't mean that they're going to leave me, they're going to abandon. So I had to go through the process. And every now and then, I have seen people with long-term sobriety, their children die from an overdose. And I saw one couple where he was so mad. He was mad at God and everything. And he just he couldn't work it through. And he picked up, and his wife was like, I just dug in deeper to the program. And at some point God and I had a talk,
Mm-hmm.
but part of the spiritual awakening is owning the fact that I can be quiet, I can be peaceful, I can be pissed off, and I can talk to my higher power any way I want. I just need to keep talking and know that it truly loves me deeply, because if it didn't, I would have been dead a long time ago. So thank you.
I love you, Joanne, so much. And yes, that's just it. We are all, most of us, speaking of the most of us, we're so used to one-sided relationships, right? Either we love, and they don't, and we're playing all these games, or we're being told what to do and we're controlled. We're not used to two-sided relationships with communication. And with God, we have a two-way street. He's always right, unfortunately, and I have to accept that, because he is strength and direction and everything that I'm not. But I'm allowed to talk to him. My friend Helen always says, "You can't talk to God like that." I said, "Oh, that's my conception, and we talk like that." Same God, different communication, right? Like I talk to my kids different than I talk to you guys. But I'm the same person. So we talk to different people different ways. God talks to me a little bit harsher than he talks to some of you. My friend Karen, she's like, "God's a gentleman. I have to invite him in." I'm like, mine just barges in and tells me what to do because he knows that's what I need. So it's a two-way road. We have to have this open communication. Okay, let's stop the